Now for surface area, you have to first calculate the lateral area, which is your faces, and then you have to add your two bases to it. All right, so for lateral area is going to be the perimeter for this, the perimeter of your base, times the height of your prism itself. Remember, the height is just the distance between the two bases. So you have to first figure out what your base is. Well, your base here is this triangle. This is your base. All right, and so the distance between the two bases is going to be this 40 centimeters. That's the distance between the two bases. So that's actually going to be what your height is that you're going to use here. That's 40. So the only other thing we need for lateral area is the perimeter. Well, for perimeter, we have to find all of the distances around my triangle. So I have this side of the triangle, which is 20. I have this side of the triangle, which is 14. I need this side of the triangle. All right. It looks like they didn't give it to me, but these are congruent triangles and they gave it to me over here. All right. So I can use that as the third side of my perimeter, the third side. So for perimeter, I'm actually going to add 20 plus 14 plus 16. All right. What do I get when I add those? 20, 14, and 16. 50, right? Should get 50, 30, so I get 50 here. So my lateral area is going to be 50 times 40. 50 times 40. So far, so good, right? That's my lateral area, which is what? Should be 2,000, yes? Lateral area, they're asking for surface area. Surface area is all of the surfaces. The only thing I found here are my faces. All right, so I found these guys right here, my sides right here. I didn't find my two triangles. So I need to find my two triangles, and I'm just going to use the area of a triangle. Well, the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height, right? 1/2 base times height. The base of my triangle is 20, and the height of my triangle is 9.8. All right, 9.8. But I have two of them. I have two of those, all right? So I'm going to take whatever I get here and I'm going to multiply by 2 because I have two bases, one here and one here, all right? And obviously that when I do that, I'm going to get 196, all right? That is my two bases. My surface area is my lateral area plus my two bases. So I have to take this lateral area, 2,000, and I have to add my two bases, which is where I get my 2,196 square centimeters. All right, questions on that? Surface area of these. So you have 3 things you're going to have to find for me on your test. Lateral area, surface area, and volume, okay? And so when we're talking about lateral area, really it's all the same for any type of prism, all right? If I were to give you a figure like this, lateral area, you first have to figure out what your base is. For something like this, you could actually choose multiple options as your base because you have several things that are congruent. So you could say, well, this is my base, this is my base, or this is my base. You have several congruent ones when you have things like these two. All right, this one has a square base, this one has a rectangular base, but really, when it's like this, if you're looking for congruent figures as your base, you have several options. So anytime you have this, determine what you're going to use as your base. Your lateral area for a prism is going to be your perimeter times the height of your prism. Some of you on your quiz were confused about perimeter, and you would just use one of your measurements, all right? So perimeter is the entire distance around. So no matter what I did as my base, if this was my base, because I just like the way it looks, I'm going to use the entire distance around and then the height of my prism. That is my lateral area. All right. For my surface area, I am going to use my lateral area. So I've already calculated all the faces. And for a prism, I have two bases. two bases. Well, I've already decided what my base is. So I'm going to take that lateral area that I had. Now I'm going to do area. You're no longer using perimeter. You're using the area of the base. What is this base? It's a rectangle. Or if I used the other one, it would have been a square. Either way, you have to recall your formula for the area of a rectangle. Rectangles and squares basically have the same formula. So for both the ones that look like this, these have the same exact formulas. The rectangle is just your length times your width, or base times height, however you look at it. But you're going to take this times that. That's the area of a rectangle. And you have two of them. You have a top and bottom. So that's why I have this 2 times this capital B. That capital B means the area formula for whatever base I have. Both of these have rectangles. Whether it looks like it's tilted or whether it looks like it's straight up, they both have rectangles. And so I'm going to do my base times height of my rectangle. I mean this base and this height if I were to take that rectangle out and look at it. All right? Lateral area and surface area. The third thing you're going to have to calculate for me is volume. Volume uses the area of the base as well. Volume is the area of the base times the height of the prism. The area of the base times the height of the prism. We've already noted what the base is. This right here. That's the area of the base. And then I'm going to multiply it by this height. By this height, what it would take to fill it up. All right? And so you've got to get these straight in your mind when you're doing these prisms. All right? When you're doing these prisms, you've got to know how to... Perimeter is the same for all of them. It's just if you were to walk around it, how far did you walk? Okay? That's perimeter. You're literally just adding up the sides. So this guy's easy. Add up the sides, multiply by the height of what you've been given. Once you find that, you must know these area formulas right here. You must know the area formulas. Rectangle's easy. Length times width. All right? You have 2 of them for a prism. If you look down, the next 2 are 2 more prisms. We have 2 more prisms here. This first prism is a triangular prism. You only have one option for a base here because there's only one pair of congruent figures. It's those triangles, okay? The formulas are very much the same though. So I'm going to say, okay, obviously this is my base. This is my base, all right? My lateral area formula, lateral area, that is still going to be perimeter times the height of the prism. Perimeter is still going to be the distance around. I'm going to add up all of those side lengths of my triangle, and I am going to multiply it by the height of the prism. How far apart my 2 triangles are. Height of the prism is how far apart the 2 triangles are. It's identical to the one we just did. It's just a different base, okay? I still have 2 bases. So when I do surface area here, I'm going to take that lateral area and I have 2 bases. I have 2 triangles I have to add to that lateral area. But now I have to remember what the formula for the area of a triangle is. That formula is 1/2 the base times the height. Now I'm talking about the base and height of the triangle. If I were to pull this triangle out, I need the base and height of that little triangle. And I have 2 of them, okay? So I'm going to calculate the area of the triangle, and I'm going to double it and add that to what I just did for lateral area. And then, of course, the last thing you have to find for me is volume. Volume, once again, is the area of the base times the height of the prism. So I'm going to take that area of my base, 1/2 base times height of this triangle, and I am going to multiply it by the height of the prism, the distance between the 2 triangles. That is volume. So some of you gave me volume for surface area because you did the area of the base times the height. That's not what I was looking for. I was looking for lateral area plus 2 of your bases. You didn't need to then multiply your bases by the height of the prism. You just added volume to it. That's different. All right? So surface area is what happens if you were to put paper. If you were to wrap a present, that is your surface area. If you were to fill the box up with something, that's your volume, okay? All right, let's look at number 4. Number 4 is a prism with just a different base. All right, so if I look at this, my base is a trapezoid. I have a trapezoid for my base. It's this guy right here. It is the same exact formula. My lateral area is perimeter times height. Perimeter is going to be what happens when I would go all the way around this trapezoid. Add up the sides. Add up the sides here all the way around this trapezoid. All right. My height is the distance between the two trapezoids. The distance between the two trapezoids is my height. All right. Same exact formula. You just have a different figure. You still add up the sides to get the perimeter. The distance between the two is still the height of the prism. All right. My surface area formula is also the same. I am going to take my lateral area and I have 2 bases. But once again, I have a trapezoid. So I must remember the formula for a trapezoid. 1/2 my height, base 1 plus base 2. All right. Now I'm only talking about the trapezoid. What happens when I take this trapezoid out? All right. So base 1, base 2 of the trapezoid, height of the trapezoid. That's what I'm calculating when I'm calculating the area of that. And then I have to double it because I have 2 of them. All right. So I've already found my lateral area, perimeter times height. And then I'm just adding 2 trapezoids because those are my bases. I'm adding 2 trapezoids. All right. Volume is also the same. Volume is the area of that trapezoid times the height of the prism. So I'm going to also use this trapezoid formula in volume. I'm going to calculate the area of 1 trapezoid, and then I am going to multiply it by that height of the prism. Volume is the only time you multiply area times height. Okay? It's the only time you multiply the area of the base times the height is for volume. All right? But you must know what a trapezoid is and how to calculate the area. For surface area and for volume, you have to know that formula. All right? There's 2 more prism type formulas. The last 2 on this page. All right, so any regular polygon, whether it's a pentagon, a hexagon, a heptagon, it doesn't matter. You have number 5. In this case, it's a pentagon, but it can be any regular polygon. So if I were to look at this, my base here is this pentagon. That is my base. My lateral area is identical. It is perimeter of that times the height. Perimeter, same exact thing. You add up all the sides. Now, typically on this, they're going to give you 1 side. They're going to say 1 side length is this. That's not your perimeter. Your perimeter is however many sides you have times that length. So if your side length here is 6, you have 5 sides, your perimeter is 30, right? So perimeter is all the way around, not just the 1 side they gave you. The height is still the distance between the 2. So they could give you any one of these sides here as your height. That's the distance between the 2 pentagons. All right, that's lateral area. Surface area is once again your lateral area, and I still have 2 bases. 2 bases. The difference here is I have a regular polygon. So once again, you have to remember it's 1/2 apothem times perimeter. You have to calculate that whole thing and plug it into your 2 bases. All right, remember apothem is this little guy that they give you right here. Perimeter you've already used in lateral area. You need to use it again. All right, you need to use that same number again here in perimeter. All right, calculate the area of 1 regular polygon and then double it. All right, lateral area plus 2 bases, 1/2 apothem times perimeter. You are going to use that same formula when you calculate volume. Volume here is the area of the base times the height of the prism. This is a regular polygon. Once again, you have to use 1/2 apothem times perimeter. Calculate the area. And then once again, you have to use the height of the prism itself. multiply by the height of the prism, and you have volume of a regular polygonal prism here. All right. The last type of prism type figure is a cylinder. All right. A cylinder. Cylinder is really the same thing, except your base is a circle. All right. So your base is a circle. Honestly, it is still perimeter times height. It is still perimeter times height. But specifically, the perimeter of a circle is called the circumference, and we calculate that by 2 pi r. All right? So instead of adding up sides to go around a circle, you don't have sides of a circle. 2 pi r is how you get around a circle. That is circumference. And so it's still perimeter of a circle times the height, but calculating that is not just adding sides up. Calculating that is 2 pi r. All right. The height of this particular cylinder is still the distance between the two circles. They're going to give you that distance between the two circles. They're going to give you that height. Surface area is also the same for a circle. Surface area is your lateral area, and you have two circles. So you have two bases. You do have to know the formula for the area of a circle. For a circle, the formula is pi r squared for that area. Pi r squared. Some of you did that for circumference. All right, pi r squared. And then the last thing is volume. Volume is also the area of the base times the height of the prism. The area of a circle is pi r squared. The height of the prism is the distance between the two circles. All right? Questions on those? So if it goes up into a point, all of a sudden you have a pyramid or a cone. All right? If it goes up into a point, you have a pyramid or a cone. All right? And so for lateral area, it creates a triangle. So instead of perimeter times height, you're going to say 1/2 perimeter, and then the height is technically the slant height, not the direct height, but the slant height. What happens if you slide down the side of it? All right? But you have to throw the 1/2 in there. It creates triangles on your sides. That is true for every single one of these. 1/2 your perimeter times your slant height. You notice my bases are changing. I have a square, a rectangle. This guy is a triangle. It doesn't matter. It's always 1/2 your perimeter times your slant height. 1/2 your perimeter times your slant height. All right, for all of these, you're going to use the 1/2 perimeter times the slant height. A cone is also identical. Lateral area is still 1/2 perimeter times slant height, but remember, perimeter of a circle is 2 pi r. All right? So instead of just adding up your sides here, your perimeter for this guy is going to be circumference, 2 pi r. So for all of your lateral areas, you're going to do exactly the same thing for a cone. You just have to use slant height. All right? For all of your surface areas, you're still going to take your lateral area. How many bases do I have on a cone or a pyramid? I only have one. So I still need to go through all of these, and I have to know how to calculate the areas of these bases. If it is a rectangle, length times width. If it is a triangle, 1/2 base times height. I have to know my formulas for all of these. If it's a regular polygon, 1/2 apothem times perimeter. But there's only one of them. For a circle, pi r squared. All right, I still have to know how to calculate the area formulas for every type of base I can have. However, I only add one of them because there's only one base to add. There's only one base to add. The sides create triangles, so that's why my lateral area has a 1/2. My surface area, I take my lateral area and I'm adding one base to it. one base to it. All right? Volume is actually identical, except I have 1/3 in there, okay? So I don't have to worry about slant height for volume. For volume, I am still doing height, perpendicular height for these, but this is where my 1/3 comes in. I still need to know how to calculate the area of that base. I need the height, not the slant height here, okay? So slant height is going to be what happens when you come down the side of it, all right? Height of the prism is what happens if you take the vertex and go down to the center of the prism. And that's true for all of these, all right? The volume is going to be 1/3 the base times the height. For all of these, you have to know how to calculate the formula for your bases. So I've already used it in my surface area. All right. You have to know all of these formulas for calculating bases. If it goes into a point, you're going to use the 1/3 for volume. If it goes into a point, you're going to use the 1/3. And if you need to write out your area formulas again beside these pictures so that you can study them, then you need to write your area formulas again. All right, just like we did on the prisms. You need to be able to recognize the figure and then also calculate all three of these for it. Depending on what it asks for, you need to be able to calculate it.